Lunchtime Politics on Channels Television. I'm Neota Egbe. First, the headlines. The presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, says his party is now a strong opposition and will provide the necessary checks and balances required in a functional democracy. The presidency welcomes Mr. Obi and his party to play the role of the opposition and start preparing for another shot at the presidency in 2027, even as it criticizes them for casting aspersions on the Supreme Court and INEC. Plus, the Independent National Electoral Commission adds the APC candidate Timothy Silva to the list of candidates contesting the November 11 election in Bayelsa State. And on to the main story is the presidential candidate of the Labour Party in the 2023 general elections, Mr. Peter Obi, says his party is now effectively in the opposition and will provide the necessary checks and balances that are required in a functional democracy. Mr. Obi made the comment in his first reaction to the Supreme Court judgment, which affirmed President Tinubu's election. He also says the Apex Court may have brought the legal battle to an end, but it is not the end of the road for the quest for a new Nigeria. Mr. Obi also says the Supreme Court judgment dashed the hopes of many Nigerians.
5 possibly.
Members of the Labour Party Presidential Campaign Council are breaking their silence on the verdicts of the Supreme Court on the presidential election petition.
As Democrats who believe in the rule of law,
the presidential candidate of the party, Mr. Peter Obi, who is leading the media briefing, disagrees with the verdict of the Apex Court, describing it as a show of unreasonable force against the Nigerian people.
The Supreme Court exhibited a disturbing aversion to public opinion, just as they abandoned its responsibility as court of law and policy. It is therefore with great dismay that I observe that the court's decision contradicts the overwhelming evidence of election rigging, false claim of technical glitch, substantial non-compliance to the rules set by INEC itself, as well as matters of perjury, identity theft, and forgery that has been brought to light in course of this election matter. This judgment amounts to a breach of confidence of Nigerians have in our judiciary. To that extent, it is a show of unreasonable force against the very Nigerian people from whom the power of the Constitution derives.
However, he believes that the judgment of the Supreme Court, though not in his favor, marks a new beginning in the quest for a better Nigeria.
As a party and candidate, Daddy and I have now exhausted all legal and constitutional remedies available to us. However, this end is only another beginning of our quest for vindication of hope of the common man for a better Nigeria. Our mission has been more about anchoring a new Nigeria, and it remains unchanged.
Mr. Obi also vows to lead a strong opposition movement that will constantly checkmate the ruling party, as he outlined some of his strategies.
Going forward, we in Labour Party and the Obedient Movement are now effectively in opposition. We are glad that the nation has heard us loud and clear. We shall now expand the confines of our message of hope to the rest of the country. We will meet the people in their places where they feel pain and answer the needs for hope. At marketplaces, motor parks, town halls, boardrooms, university and college campuses, we will carry and deliver the message of a new Nigeria. As stakeholders and elected Labour Party officials will remain loyal to our manifesto.
The pledge by the Labour Party means there will be two major opposition parties, the other being the People's Democratic Party, PDP.
Meanwhile, the presidency has criticized the Labour Party candidate for casting aspersions on the Supreme Court and the Independent National Electoral Commission for not declaring him the winner of the February 25th, 2023 elections. In a statement signed by the Special Advisor to the President on Information and Strategy, Mr. Bayo Onanuga, the presidency says it expects the Labour Party candidate to know that the Supreme Court or any other court does not give judgment based on public opinions, but on evidence, precedents, and the rule of law. Part of the statement reads, having admitted that the Supreme Court ruling brought an end to litigation and any challenge to the bona fide status of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu as a validly elected leader of Nigeria and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, Obi should have congratulated President Tinubu for his victory and pledged his support in the spirit of statesmanship. The presidency says that it welcomes Peter Obi and his party to play the role of the opposition and start preparing for another shot at the presidency in 2027. Staying with electoral matters, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has added the name of the All Progressives Congress candidate for Bayelsa State, Mr. Timipre Silva, to the list of candidates contesting the November 11 governorship election. A decision followed last week's ruling of the Court of Appeal sitting in Abuja. A federal high court had on October 9, 2023, disqualified Mr. Silva from contesting following a suit by a member of the APC in Bayelsa State. INEC had subsequently delisted him, but in an amended list updated on its website today, the electoral umpire published Mr. Silva's particulars, listing his name as APC's candidate. And to further look at the situation in Bayelsa State, we're now being joined by a member of the APC, Mr. Stanley Damabide, who is a member of the APC in Bayelsa. You are welcome to the program, Mr. Damabide.
Good afternoon, and it's my pleasure to be with you.
Fantastic. Let's take a cue from INEC's relisting of your candidate to contest the election. How prepared are you?
Well, we've never had doubts about the fact that we have a candidate that was validly nominated by the party. And so, despite the seeming distraction that the judgment of the Federal High Court in Abuja, gave to the campaign process, we remained focused and determined, continued with work, reaching out to the nooks and crannies of Bayelsa State to tell Bayelsans that it is time for a renewed hope with Chief Timipre Silva leading as the governor of the state. And so, it's just been it. We've always known that going forward, the superior courts of record will look at things more critically and broadly and will ensure the reinstatement of our candidates. And so, that's just been how it is. It is without prejudice to the fact that, yes, the propaganda effects of the first pronouncement would have troubled us, but for the fact that we've always remained focused and dogged, knowing that justice will prevail in the end.
Well, you know that when that judgment came forth, there were some schools of thought or certain quarters who felt that the elections, there's a guarantee now that the elections will go on peaceably without any attacks whatsoever. But we do also know that your party and your candidate had also promised free and fair elections. What's the guarantee that there will be no attacks? Following, of course, a video that's been circling on social media where your deputy governorship candidate was allegedly inciting the people to violence.
Well, firstly, let's look at issues from a very pragmatic angle. Yeah, you can't say certain comments were made that may have been misjudged. But the reality on ground is that referencing things that happened in Kolokumo Pokuma local government area of the state, as well as Okumbri community, what we saw was the reverse situation of supposed members of the PDP harassing, intimidating, and inflicting injuries on our supporters. I think that the deputy governorship candidate's statement of our party, that statement was blown out of proportion. I think comments should be interpreted within the context that they were made. The focus on that statement was on tackling, conducts that constitutes misbehavior from the other side. It might have been overstretched with some words, but then, in real sense, the focus of that statement was, look, be self-conscious, be on the guard, and do not allow yourself to be taken advantage of. That is the focus. But happenings on the streets shows that our party has been responsible and peaceable in the conduct of its campaigns and like activities. And so I think we should rather focus on that and not judge from statements that obviously were are being stretched out of context.
Mr. Damabile, again, out there, we always hear that what a man's words are the man. So, but we'll hear what you say. We should focus on the action. So let's look at this. What can we hold your candidate responsible for peace, at least as far as he is concerned, he and his team is concerned, in these elections in Bielsa come Saturday?
Well, just like I hinted earlier, judge from recent happenings, have we been found wanting with regards to behaving violently? On the reverse side, on the flip side, looking at incidents that happened in Kolokumo Pokuma, I say this again, and Ukumbri community in Sagbama local government area of Bielsa state. Who is guilty of criminal misconduct in this election?
Mr. Damabile, the question I ask now, I'm sorry, but the question I ask now is, because we're actually running out of time, the question is just a yes or no. Can your candidate be held responsible, at least for his own space, as we go into the elections on Saturday?
I wanted to garnish my yes with practical situations. But so far, we've behaved responsibly, and you would not expect us to deviate from the course that we've chosen. And so, it's a big yes with reasons, practical facts to support same. And that was the understanding I was expecting you to, get.
So can all the parties, can all the candidates, I mean, seeing that everybody that's contesting is from Bielsa, can all of them come together, maybe even today or maybe tomorrow, and shake hands and say, you know what, we're going in there for a competition. Let's ensure that our state is peaceful and our people can live peaceably even beyond the elections. Do you think that's possible?
I can only speak for my party and say that our instincts for peace, our disposition to peace remain intact. And I just hope that on the other side, they should also appreciate the fact that it is best that we do this thing as responsible persons, knowing that you can govern the dead.
All right.
I just hope they will respond in like manner.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Stanley Damabile. He's a member of the All Progressives Congress in Bielsa State. Thank you for speaking with us on the program.
Thanks for having me.
Let's move real quick now. In Imo State, the National Association of Imo State Students has accused the Nigeria Labour Congress and its president, Joe Ajero, of causing hardship and sufferings to the indigents of the state following the shutting down of electricity by the EEDC on Ajero's directives in the last 5 days. Addressing a press conference in Owerri, the Imo State capital, the chairman of the Board of Trustees of the association, Mavis Udechukwu, says the actions of the Labour leader have created a deep conflict of interest within the NLC and damaged the credibility of the organizations. The students are calling on other executive committee members of the Nigeria Labour Congress to intervene for the people of Imo State.
We totally condemn the fact that Comrade Joe Ajero chose to initiate LLC-led strike, specifically in our dear state, Imo. when other states were experiencing more significant salary arrears. His action has cast doubt on the LLC commitment to the welfare of workers and suggests that it indeed prioritizes political interests over the genuine concerns of labor. We hereby condemn the shutting down of electricity in Imo State, as it has affected both the workers and the students. It is important to note that the students has no light to carry out their assignments as we speak, to actually carry out their project defense and lot more practicals, which complaints and cries has gotten to the leadership of Imo State students here in Imo.
Let's go on to Kogi State. The governorship candidate of the Action Alliance, Mr. Olayinka Brimo, is engaging voters of Ward A in Lokoja, the state capital, on the need to work with him and end the cycle of poverty that has pervaded the land along with underdevelopment. Mr. Brimo had the interaction campaign with the electorate in the Hausa quarters of Adam Kolo community, Lokoja. He asked them to make the right decision on November 11 by voting for the Action Alliance, promising to partner with them in the strategy of wealth creation.
Horse riders take over some parts of Lokoja, the Kogi State capital, canvassing for the governorship candidate of Action Alliance, Mr. Olayinka Brimo. The campaign trail led by the horse riders moves through the streets into Adam Kolo community to engage women, youths, and the elderly. The candidate wants to pick their thoughts on wealth creation.
All in a drainage, proper drainage, they don't do for now. But hope day. Reason why the contest now say, Inshallah, in 3 years, nobody go back before they chop for Kogi.
From Adam Kolo, the campaign trail moves to Ajara Quarter Waterside amidst fanfare. People lament the neglect of the area and promise to work with anyone that identifies with their situation.
Olayinka will take us to the promised land by the power of Almighty Allah. And the Ward A, I'm the Ward A chairman. So as the Ward A chairman, I promise Olayinka, which is the incoming governor, by the power of Almighty God, 11-11, he must be in the Lugard house.
The election we are about to take now, there is no doubt about it that Olayinka Brimo is going to be the next governor of Kogi State, because we have suffered a lot for the past 26 years. I only know 2 parties that is voting, that is doing governor. So we need change.
The wife of the candidate also joins the campaign team as she challenges women to go all out to secure the future of their loved ones with the party's start agenda.
This time around, there is a change.
Yes.
There is a breath of fresh air, and it is Olayinka Brimo. It is Action Alliance. We must not sit down and fold our arms. Women, are we going to sit down and fold our arms? It is time for us to use our voice. Yes. Are we going to use our voice?
Yes.
Come Saturday, we are coming out en masse, and we are voting for Action Alliance. Action Alliance.
The campaign team also received the campaigns from other parties who are promising to join forces with the campaign council of the Action Alliance to woo voters ahead of Saturday's election.
It's days to the off-cycle elections in Bayelsa, Kogi, and Imo State, and all concerned are working hard to ensure free, fair, and credible polls. The electoral body INEC has assured that it will do all in its powers to ensure a valued election. On his part, the Inspector General of Police, Kade Betokun, has been meeting with stakeholders in the 3 states to reassure them of adequate security during and after the elections. This electioneering campaign, no doubt, has witnessed a series of attacks across the 3 states. Let's now shift our attention to security. We're being joined from South Africa by a security expert, Mr. Kingsley Uzoma. Hello, Mr. Uzoma.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
And thank you for joining us. It's a few days to the elections, and residents in some quarters are in panic mode as security operatives has been deployed to those states. What are some of the security tips you can offer to eligible voters when going out to the polling unit?
Well, thank you. Before now, in the past couple of days, lots of threat analysis were carried out in the state, which the police and other security agencies are currently acting on and all that. So residents, voters are being advised to shun violence. But again, there are feeds coming in of pockets of violence involving security agencies, personnel, and what have you. But that's not enough to say that the election will not be free and fair, nor to say that the citizens of the Kogi state shouldn't come out en masse to cast their vote. Rather, the security agencies will go back to the drawing board and make sure that all the loopholes are covered security-wise.
Okay, so what's the advice that you're going to give to the voters themselves as they come out? What would you advise them to do?
They need to be vigilant. That's number one. Then number two, as they go out to vote, especially these days, they need to refrain from putting on anything that will identify them to a given political party. Okay. Then they also need to refrain from discussing issues of their preferred candidate. It's an open secret ballot that they need to cast their vote in a peaceful atmosphere and being able to stand that their vote are counted as applicable to the electoral laws.
All right, but what's your view on those who would want to lure voters with money at the polling areas?
Vote buying, unfortunately, is part and parcel or have become part and parcel of the practice during election in our country, Nigeria. And I can also tell you that maybe Nigeria is not the only country that does that. Just like me, my current location, election is oncoming, and you still get a clue of such information. So my advice for them is that if you want a better Kogi state and by extension Nigeria, you need not sell your vote. Vote according to your conscience. There are lineups of candidates across the party lines with their manifestos of what they have for the entire people of Kogi state. So as an individual, you should know what you want for yourself, from security to education, infrastructure, and what have you. You should use that as a baseline to know the candidate to vote, away from tribes, religions, and other political biases.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Uzoma. Mr. Kingsley Uzoma is a security expert, and he joined us from Durban in South Africa. Thank you so much for coming on to the program today.
Thank you.
Now, Governor Yahaya Bello of Kogi State is asking the residents to eschew all forms of violence before, during, and after the November 11, 2023 governorship elections. Mr. Bello stated this during an engagement with the Igbo community in Kogi. Governor Bello was represented by the State's Commissioner for Local Government and Chieftaincy Affairs, Mr. Didat Ozigi. Event.
Members of the Igbo community in Kogi State are at the banquet hall of the Government House, Lokoja, to meet with a delegation of the Kogi State government. The entourage includes the APC governorship candidate. The State's Commissioner for Local Government and Chieftaincy Affairs is representing Governor Yahaya Bello, and he sets the pace of the discussion, making a case for a peaceful coexistence in the state.
All the benefit that the Igbos have enjoyed today, if you observe it, this close interaction that we are having now, it's not as close as it was not as close as this. And we are getting closer to each other, to one another. And this relationship that we're having today, that is more robust than what we have in 2015 or 2016 or 2019, then it will definitely attract more benefit.
The Igbo community appreciates the opportunity to visit and promises to work for the good of the state.
The Igbos are very happy with what the governor has been doing to the Igbos for the peace, unity, and the love they have been showing to Igbo community.
Across the state, anywhere you hear that there is a problem in the Igbo community, you have always made it your personal responsibility to see that peace is brought to that community. So we have enjoyed your equity and we are very, very much grateful to you.
Delighted by the commitment of members of the Igbo community, the governorship candidate of the APC extols the peaceful nature of Igbos and pledges to continue the good works of Governor Yahaya Bello in all sectors.
We are now using new word order templates. We have since moved from the old word order templates. We're going to make that difference to show that yes, Igbo community, Igbo people are well recognized as far as this government is concerned. So please help us to our brothers and sisters back home not to be allowed themselves to be used as an agent of destruction.
As a demonstration of love and appreciation, the community presents a gift to the state governor.
And with that, you've been served on Lunchtime Politics. Thank you for watching. I'm Neota Ibi.